All right, this will be a comprehensive stretching routine for the whole body, upper and lower, to help improve flexibility, helping with athletic performance, and help reduce the risk of injury. The strategy we're going to use for all the stretches, and I'll give you about 7 stretches between the upper and lower body, but the strategy we're going to use for stretching is this CRAC stretching. That is contract, relax, antagonist, contract. The antagonist muscle is the opposite muscle to whichever one you're stretching. Now I'm just going to call it the opposite muscle, but that's what this stands for. That's what antagonist muscle is. What it is you're going to start with 20 seconds of just a passive stretch. This is just reaching the point where you feel a stretch on the muscle, not so much that it's super painful, but you want to be trying to achieve greater length in the muscle over time without super duper stressing yourself. But it starts with 20 seconds of that passive stretch. Then you go into a 10-second contraction of the stretched muscle. So think about if you're stretching the shoulder back here, you're going to go 20 seconds of just relax, passive stretch. Then you're going to go 10 seconds of try to flex this muscle that you're stretching. If you're stretching chest or shoulder, you're just going to try to moderately kind of flex this muscle. It's not flexing as hard as you can, but you want to get a decent flex in there. So flexing this for 10 seconds, and then going to the opposite muscle. You're going to, if it's stretching the chest and shoulder here, you're going to flex on the backside, like you're trying to use the opposite muscles to actively pull against the one that you're stretching. And that's again going to be a 10-second contraction of those opposite muscles. And you complete this cycle 3 to 4 times. Now, some of the stretches that I'll show you lend themselves more easily to this style of stretching. Some of them it's easier if you have a partner to do this stretch. Something maybe like the hip flexor stretch is a little bit harder to contract those muscles being stretched. But the upper bodies, those are much more easily done on your own with this strategy. So getting into the stretches, we'll start with lower body, and we will start with the hip flexor stretch that I was just talking about. Oftentimes, maybe this is the least favorite of people. A lot of people got tight hips, and it's just not the most fun stretch. But you try to set up at a wall here, and I use a pad so that you don't have knee just on the bare ground here, because the pressure on the knee can get to hurt a little bit. But you try to take this knee all the way up against the wall right here, if you can. Now, if you've got really tight hamstrings or hip flexors or quads, it stretches the hip flexor and the quad in here. But if you've got that really tight, you may have to move the knee out away from the wall, and you're going to kind of go into this split lunge type position. You try to get up tall right here. And you don't want to overarch. You don't want to find that you're arching the back to try to get back here. You want to keep this pretty straight, kind of like you're bringing your ribs down and this whole body straight here. But like I said, you try to get to knee and shin up against the wall. I use a stick here to help push up so that this opposite leg doesn't have to do too much work. But you try to get up tall, and remember to breathe while you stretch. That goes for all of these stretches. Remember to breathe. Try not to hold your breath. But right here, we're finding a good, decent stretch. Breathe through the stretch. You go 20 seconds of just kind of passive, relaxing into the stretch. And then for 10 seconds, you think about flexing this hip flexor, this quad. You try to flex against here, 10 seconds. And then after that 10 seconds, you think about flexing your butt cheek on this side here, trying to push that hip flexor into greater extension here. Again, try to keep the ribs a little tucked down, but flex that cheek, pushing that hip flexor into greater extension. One cycle through that CRAC will take 40 seconds. You can start with 3 cycles through, try to work your way to 4 cycles through. Okay, that's stretch number 1. That's the hip flexor and the quad. Now we go into, let's say next, we'll do a pigeon stretch. I call it a pigeon stretch because we're not doing yoga. If it was yoga, it'd be a pigeon pose. Much more zen. But we go here, trying to, again, the top form of this that you would do is trying to get the shin perpendicular to the body, like straight across right here. Back leg here, and you try to think about kind of bringing your belly button forward to this shin. Again, you can round over and do this, but that's not really getting as much stretch as thinking about kind of bringing your belly forward towards that shin. Again, this is going to stretch kind of the glute hip. You get a little bit of this upper inner thigh But if this is real tight there for you, tuck that heel down to the hip, and then we can start to get down low there. But we try to bring that foot up and get down like you're bringing ribs or belly button forward to that shin. Again, 20 seconds passive stretch, and then we go into 10 seconds like you're lifting yourself up on this. That's how that's gonna be flexing the cheek you're trying to stretch there. Like you're supporting your flex in that 10 seconds, boom. And then this one's really tough. You would think about, have to think about pulling your foot actively up towards you, and it's kind of getting into that groin hip to try to pull that up. And this one's not so easy to do that antagonist muscle contract, but others will be easier, and you can still get a lot out of doing the 20-second passive, 10-second flex against, and then maybe you go back into another 10 seconds of passive, but you think about actively pulling that foot up towards you. That is stretch number 2 for the glutes here. Number 3 is going to be 1 foot in, and we're going down the side to this foot right here. Now you may struggle with the flexibility to get to that toe, but what you can do is you can take a belt or a t-shirt or a towel or anything, and you can loop it around the foot to help you reach that foot here, and you can help pull towards that. But if you don't need it, you don't need it. Trying to keep this leg straight here, and here going down to that foot. 20-second relax, after 20 seconds of passive stretch, we do 10 seconds of trying to like pull the heel into the ground, trying to pull back here. So we're stretching the back some with this one, and we're stretching the hamstring as well. So you get down here, 20 seconds passive, then you do 10 seconds pull against, pull at the back, and think about pulling your heel down into the ground. Pull back at the back, pull the heel down into the ground. 10 seconds, 10 seconds here, and you think about pulling your toe up here. So you're flexing this quad here. If we're trying to stretch the hamstring, obviously it's going to be the quad, and we're trying to flex the quad and pull the toe upwards like you're actively pulling your foot up like this here. And you'll flex your abs too to pull down and pull that back integrator extension. Getting down low there. And again, you can hunker over here, but just trying to kind of keep the chest up and get the ribs forward is really going to get the stretch we're looking for. Number 4, and you do that on each side, obviously. But number 4 is feet apart, and we just go down the middle right here. Here, 20 seconds passive. Then we take and think about pulling the feet down and together. Pulling down in 10 seconds. And then you think about pulling back with the feet, like you're opening up the groin, like you're squeezing glutes again, pulling forward with the muscles deeper into that stretch. All right, that's number 4. Now we're going into upper body. We got 3 for the upper body. You could easily expand this to 4. The arms behind stretch is a lot on the shoulders, but we could do a separate one for chest. This whole stretching routine is pretty comprehensive. It will hit 90% at least of what you need to hit. But there are other stretches that you could do for specific needs. This is just a blanket general recommendation for increasing flexibility in all the common problem areas. But we'll start with arms behind. I'm doing this on a barbell, but you could do this on anything. You can do this on a countertop at home. You can do it on a chair. You can get a bench at the gym, anything. But just try to get the hands about as close together as you can. Here, we're straightening the arms, whoop, and then we're coming down. Again, arms all the way straight. 20 seconds passive stretch, hang out. Then we're going into 10 seconds of pulling, like you're trying to kind of pull the hands apart from each other or pull down, kind of both. Pull apart, pull down, and you'll feel the muscles being stretched. Those are the ones you want to contract for 10 seconds. And then for our 10-second opposite muscle, antagonist muscle contract, we're trying to squeeze actively back with the back to pull into that stretch even more. Hands together, arms straight, 20 seconds passive. We go 10 seconds flex, pulling the bar apart, pulling the hands down, and then we go 10 seconds actively squeezing back with the back muscles, reaching back together. My back just popped. It's a good stretch. Oh. That is number 5. Number 6, we're going overhead here. So we're here. Again, you can do this on anything. You try to do as little work as possible with your muscles while you're stretching. You want to be able to relax and breathe and chill out in the stretch. Not so much when you're flexing the muscles, but during that passive stretch, you want to be able to relax and breathe. But Number 6, we're going overhead. Here, arms straight, letting the head and the chest fall down as low as they can right here. 20 seconds passive. Now we're pulling down like you're trying to take this bar and pull down in front of your face. 10 seconds to contract. Boom. And then we go into 10 seconds of trying to pull the hands back behind your head and try to think about turn your armpits out like this. Think about squeeze those upper back muscles. Pull into that stretch and reach overhead like you're trying to press the bar upward away from you. Pull down. And then we go back to our 20 seconds passive stretch. Almost done. One more. We go cross body. And there's a couple different ways to do this one. You can very simply do it with no equipment, opposite knee up like this. And it's just like that arm across stretch that you did in gym class, like pulling the arm across, but it's too much work to pull with this opposite side hand. So I take this elbow, post it up on the leg right here. Oh, and lean forward into it right here. And you can use opposite hand to kind of, again, pull across, get into that stretch. Should feel in the back of the shoulder and the upper back. 20 seconds, relax. Then we're taking 10 seconds of like trying to push into your leg and pull this arm across like you're flexing this back muscle, flexing the back of the shoulder. Pull across, 10 seconds, boom. And then we're going like we're trying to take this hand and reach that way. Reach across, should be flexing the chest here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Back to passive stretch for 20 seconds. You can also do this with, and this provides maybe a greater level of variability in your stretch as far as where you can feel the stretch. You have the freedom to move the hand up or down along the stick here. So if I reach way up high, I'm gonna stretch kind of in the back of the shoulder. If I reach down low and lean into it, I'm gonna feel it more in the upper back and the traps closer to the middle of the back between the shoulder blades maybe. But you can do this here with this stick, just right in front of you. Leaning over into it, the hand holding onto the stick is straight. You're leaning, same way. 20 seconds, relax. 20 seconds, pull back against it. 20 seconds, reach across into that. And that should, like I said, take care of at least 90% of your flexibility and mobility needs until you have something that's more specific needs. Sometimes you get into internal, external rotation with the shoulders. You may need some calves, something like that. But that is our stretching routine. Like I said, 3 to 4 times through that cycle for each stretch, and try to hit this maybe about 3 days a week. You can always go to more with this. Bare minimum would be twice a week, but try to hit this at least 3 times a week here.